Thank you very much, tech support. Okay, close the door, bud. Hello, everyone. Okay, let me see. Where am I supposed to look? Okay, we're fussing with that. Is it working right? Hello, everyone. Barbara Benson here. I am an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. And we are here today live. Welcome to everyone. There is no sound. Can you hear me now? Okay, Diane said no sound. Can y'all see me? Can you hear me? Elliot? Could you please check and see? Okay, you can. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, the no sound thing kind of freaked me out for a second. Hello, Diane and Stacy and Sarah and Jen and Judy. Thank you so much. Devoted to Knit, Emily, Linda, Harley, Lainey. Oh, so excited. Carrie. So it's apparently the chat's on a little bit of a delay. I had a moment of trying to figure out if it was working. Hello, Washington, D.C., Westfield, Massachusetts. Hello, Caleb in New Hampshire. Hampshire. I'm pretty sure that's not how you say it. It's New Hampshire, I'm guessing. My son, when he was little, called it New Hamster, which I thought it'd be funny to be in a state that had a whole bunch of hamsters. From Silicon. Hello, Kathy. Thank you so much, Jen. I really do like, I look good in jewel tones. It's one of those things that, back in the 80s, they do your color and figured out what season you were. And I'm a winter, apparently. It's the dark hair, the fair skin, jewel tones are awesome. Raleigh, North Carolina, hello. Seattle, Missouri. Oh, how exciting. I love that y'all are from all over the place and you're all excited about knitting. It's super exciting it's why I love this YouTube thing, because it allows me to connect with people all across our country and all across the world. And I really like it. Another new hamster. Pennsylvania. Hi, Cindy in Pennsylvania. Trish, you're in Maryland. That is, I think I met at one point in time, Cocoa County, California. Awesome, Sarah. Jen, first non-USian, Canada, excellent. Newfoundland, that's where they get those cool Newfoundland dogs. I don't know. I don't know if the Newfie dogs have anything to do with Canada, but that's what it made me think of. Montreal, another Canadian. Welcome, eh? Jada, hello in Colorado. You know what? I should have grabbed something. I'll be right back. Give me a second. I need to get my notebook. So I got some exciting news. Can you hear me? I have some exciting. Oh, Wisconsin and freezing. I'm sorry that Wisconsin is freezing. It's one of the reasons I'm not in Wisconsin. Oh, I swiped a pencil from my mom's house. So I actually have some exciting news that y'all are going to hear here first. It's something I have mentioned. Oh, on one of these days I'll get to Marilyn Sheep and Trish, I know we haven't officially met, but I know that I have talked to you of course, on Watch Barbara Knit and the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group, but also on Facebook. And I think I've interacted with you on Ravelry. It just, you get to the point where you've interacted with someone so extensively online that you actually, are vested in them. It seems weird that we have friends that we've never met face to face, but I don't feel like friends I've made and have known for years online are any less valid than friends that I have in real life, because there are my real life friends that I no longer am in the same state. And so they are virtual friends now, but they're still my friends. So I just feel like that. And sometimes when you think about, it's this weird internet age, I was reading something and it was like, oh, so it was about Hamilton. Everybody got excited about Alexander Hamilton because the Lin-Manuel Miranda, and the one of the main characters in the play, um and I'm drawing a blank on his name, the one that went to South Carolina. All evidence indicates that Hamilton only met him maybe once, and that all of his interaction with this gentleman and with several of the people that he's depicted as being friends with, all of their interaction is via letters. So it's nothing new. Having long distance friends is nothing new. It's just the big new thing is we can actually, get FaceTime and actually see each other. But there are people who were considered, huge, long lost collaborators, friends, and everything, that the only way they communicated was via like mail. And we're talking about when mail was something you wrote down and put it in an envelope, and it had to take like a ship across the ocean. There were months and months between correspondences, but these people were still friends and still companions. So I don't think the internet's any different than that, except for my handwriting. You guys wouldn't be able to read it. Hello. Okay. How far is Sarasota from Orlando? It's about a 2.5 hour drive. It's not far. The first year we were actually here for Christmas, we gave ourselves a annual pass for Disney World. And so we went to Disney World quite a bit. We figured out the math about how many times we had to go to make it like worth the amount of money we spent on it. And we totally made our money and then some extra days. And that was 2019. So it really was a really good decision that we did it that year because obviously after that. Yes, Tris, John Lawrence. John Lawrence. So there's historians don't really know if they ever actually physically met. They think they might have, but there's no real evidence either way that they ever really met in person, that they collaborated and worked with each other mostly via correspondence. So yes, it's collaborating and having friends via correspondence is nothing new. I mean, think about pen pals, think about all that kind of stuff. You can know someone without ever having to physically meet them. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Your daughter works at Epcot. Oh, so jelly. So my son, as I said, he's 15 now, but he was like 12 then. And even though he's a kid, his favorite of the kingdoms was Epcot and is Epcot because he loves Test Track and he loves going to the Japanese department store. That's like his thing. So we love Epcot and that is awesome. Hello, Mona in West Virginia. Okay, I got off on a tangent, but I have an exciting thing that I just finalized today. I signed the contract today. And the reason I had to go get my planner, this is where I keep my brain. This is where everything is. So I'm going to be teaching an online class through Interweave. It's going to be called Interweave at Home. And there are going to be a bunch of different instructors, and they have asked me to teach. And it's going to be one of these things that rolls by the months. They have themes for each month. And the first month I am going to be teaching is going to be April. It is not up on the website yet or anything because I still have to get them some photographs, but I signed the contract today. Hello, Kay in Texas. Ooh, she ran Test Track. Oh, we might have seen her. So on April 6th, here, on April 6th, which is a Wednesday, and then April 9th, which is a Saturday, I'm going to be teaching the same class. And the way they're going to do it is each instructor is going to teach the same class twice at 2 different times so that the most people can possibly attend the class. So the class on Wednesday is going to be from 7 to 10 my time. They're in Interweaves out of Colorado, so all of the things are mountain time. So it's 7 to 10 my time earlier. Uh I don't know. I don't know what time that is for you, but that is early. I'm trying to be busy, Cindy. And then the Saturday class is 1 to 4 my time. So again, that would be like 1, 12, 11. So that's like 10 o'clock Pacific time, I think. So yeah, so it's going to be live via Zoom. If you want to, as soon as I get the information on it, I'll probably make a video on it closer to April, but I'll also, as soon as I have all the official links and everything, we'll send out a newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for the Barbara Benson Designs newsletter, you can hop over to, actually, if you click on any of my videos and doing the link below the videos, if you go in the thing, there's a link to sign up for it. You can also do it on my website. So I devoted to knit. It is, I mean, this is so new that you can't sign up yet. Literally, I signed this contract today and it is not up yet. But if you want to get links to how you sign up, definitely sign up for my newsletter or watch for the video. Now, the class I'm going to be teaching is an intermediate level class. And what I'm going to be teaching is, dun, 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 dun. Have you seen this book? So this book, or any, see all these books up here, all of those behind me right here, all of those are Japanese stitch dictionaries, okay? And this class is all about Japanese stitches and Japanese stitch manipulation. Japanese stitches, they have you do some really fun stuff, but it creates really fun stuff. But it's one of those things that it's harder to like explain how to do it than to show how to do it. So in the class, we go through cinch stitches, we go through some elongated stitches. You have this on your coffee table, Judy? Very cool. Well, Harley, you need to sign up for my newsletter then. But you can also watch. I will definitely be talking about this on like a regular video. I'll probably do some sort of video. So it's really, so the prerequisites for this class are you have to be comfortable with lace and you have to be able to work from charts because it's all charted. All of the Japanese stitch dictionaries are charted. It's all charts all the time. So you gotta, oh, hello, Vicky, midnight. Oh, it's almost tomorrow there. Exciting. I hope the future is better than the past. So yeah. So like this one, this is one that we're going to talk about. So it's really cool. I'm excited about the class. They're going to be, oh, I probably shouldn't talk on backwards. They're going to be, they're larger classes. This is through Interweave. I'm sure I will have an assistant there, but I'm excited and, nervous about it, but it's going to be fun. So there you go, 5 to 8. Thank Trish. I can't do time zones. So yeah, so it's not everything in that book. A lot of it is from other Japanese dictionaries. The other one, this is my personal favorite. 1,000 Japanese knitting and crochet stitches. And I pulled stuff out of these. There's all kinds of fun things in here. I got to show you the scariest chart ever. Okay. Look at that chart. This one right here. It's got a sticky note on it. Isn't that chart crazy? So that's what the class is about. Okay, stick him back up there. Okay. So So that was my big thing. Does anyone have any questions? I did the thing and put up the community and asked if anyone had questions ahead of time, and in the Wash Barber Knit Facebook group and asked if anyone had any questions ahead of time. And of course, it never fails that I'm like, "Hey, does anybody have any questions?" And they're like, "Hello, I would like to know about this thing that you don't know anything about." Like socks or Tarja or something like that. And I'm like, I promise I do know some things, but I don't know everything. Oh, welcome. I'm so glad you're here, Jamie. Um, so I'm waiting to see if we have any questions. Come on, I need a question from someone. Distitch. See, this is it. I don't know. It is something that a person invented and wrote a book about, and it's obscure, and I have no clue how to do it. I've looked at it, and it's intriguing, but when I tried to read about it, I was like, this is not something that really interests me. Uh, a, a lot of times when people come up with new techniques, it's because they're trying to solve a question in their mind. Like when I wanted color work and lace at the same time, I ended up making the mosaic lace. I assume that the person who created Disc Stitch was trying to solve a problem, but if it's not a problem you have, then you're not particularly interested in it. And again, see, twig stitch. See, these are these things that people are inventing, and I have not investigated them at all. That's like the helical knitting. It's these really interesting and cool techniques, but they take so much time and effort to understand. And I'm so busy just trying to figure out the things that make my brain go question mark. So I haven't done the twig stitch or the disc stitch or the sequence knitting or that stuff. Okay, Lainey, I do not use Knit Companion. As far as I don't know that I haven't really, I think the ability to use it for some sort of design is relatively new. Mona, I'll put a pin in that. Gauge, I've just never put the time and effort into figuring out how to use Knit Companion because I knit from patterns that I'm writing. So the way the Knit Companion works, and it's awesome if you're knitting from a PDF, you import your PDF and then you can notate it and make it more interactive. But since my PDFs don't exist yet, I don't really use it. I highly recommend it. I know a lot of people who absolutely adore it, but I do not use it. And I have my own design flow, so that works for me. So I haven't really looked into other design applications. Mona, so with gauge and how to compensate when my stitch gauge is off. So one thing, you need to make sure that you've gauged correctly and you're measuring your blocked gauge. You have to make sure that if your project is flat, that you swatch flat. And if your project's knit in the round, you need to knit in the round. You need to use the exact needles that you are going to be knitting the project with, because if you change the material of your needles, you can change your gauge. So if you swatch with a size 8 metal because it's what you had handy, but then you switch to like a wooden needle because it has a longer cable, your gauge is going to change. So if your gauge is just off by a little bit, sometimes changing your needle material, the point material, can shift your gauge slightly. Now, and I have a video on this, if you are getting too many stitches per inch, okay? So say you're supposed to have 5, but you have 6, then you need to make your stitches bigger, so you go to a larger needle. If you have too few stitches per inch, say you're supposed to have If you have too few. Oh, it's hard to do this in your brain. If you have, I just confused myself. Okay. So if you're supposed to have 5 stitches per inch and you only have 4 stitches per inch, your stitches are too big and you need to make them smaller. So you go to a smaller needle. So if you have too many stitches, you go to a bigger needle. And if you have too few stitches, you go to a smaller needle. I don't know if that helps. Knit a granny stripe blanket. Check Miss Trish, check with Zandy. They have done some really interesting stuff with making knitting look like crochet. Zandy Peters, the individual who did Fox Paws, they might have a solution for you. Mona, I don't know if that helped. Subby, would you ever want to create a custom dyed yarn? Me dying? No. Would I be open to working with a dyer on color inspirations and things like that and working and collaborating with them on colors? That would be super, super fun because I love colors. And I've actually done that before with the Unique Sheep and with Miss Babs, where I sent them photos that were inspiration and they took those photos and pulled the colors out of them. So that is totally something that I enjoy doing, but I will not be dyeing yarn myself. That is a whole lot of math and a whole lot of chemistry that I don't understand. Jen, knitting a bottom up sweater. How close to the underarm should I hold the sleeve to know? Jen, this falls into the category of things I don't know about. I don't knit garments. I don't design garments. I have no advice for garments. Hopefully someone else in the chat might have some guidance for you on that. But I personally have never knit a garment for myself. So I have no guidance on that. Devoted to knit, we'll put a pin on that. I want to make sure I get all of the questions. Yes, Very Pink Knit does have knit tutorials on Knit Companion. Oh, thank you so much, Vicky. I have had wonderful conversations via email and via comments with another vision impaired viewer. And I have worked based on her feedback to try to make sure my videos are accessible because she educated me and let me know that there's a fairly large vision impaired knitting community that uses YouTube. So that is why I try very hard to I try hard not to go, so just insert like this. I try to explain step by step what I'm doing. I don't always succeed, but I try. And I really appreciate you giving me that feedback because it's something I've been actively trying to be aware and be better about. Are there rules on how to read a chart? I know how you teach to write your charts, but I'm currently knitting one that you knit. So, Jamie, you have hit on something interesting. Or Jamie, I know that you told me how to say it last time. There are no knitting police. Okay. So if you have a chart, you have industry standard, and then you have people who do what they want to do. So you just need to read the legend of the pattern that you are knitting, because I know that there are designers who do not design charts that use the industry standard, which is if you're knitting flat, you start in the lower right hand corner, work right to left, then go up and work left to right. And the way that a chart is supposed to show you is what the finished piece is going to look like when viewed from the right side, which is why the little dot means purl when it's on a right side row, but it means knit when it's on a wrong side row, because both of those things show purl to the front. So it sounds like you might have gotten a hold of a non-standard pattern, and you just have to read how that designer has set up their charts and follow their charts. And if you do not enjoy it, just maybe make a note of that and don't use those patterns anymore. I tend to stick to industry standard, but there are people who make different choices, and that is, if it works for them, it works for them, and I'm sure they have fans who enjoy that. Okay. Oh my goodness. Do 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 do. Okay, if I ever get to using it, you know what, Trish? I know Knit Companion is awesome. It's just I never work from existing patterns. But one of these days, maybe I will. If your gauge is stitch divided by gauge equals inches. Okay, Harley, when doing the long tail cast on, why does one leg unply itself? How can I compensate? That has to do with the motion, the rocking motion of long tail. Because obviously the way you're doing it is twisting it against the ply. So one way to do it is after you get a few stitches, if it starts to unply, let go of it and allow it to relax back to where it wants to be, and then pick it back up, because it should retension itself. You might have to retension it several times, or you might have to think about how you're holding it and maybe try a slightly less vigorous motion. You are unplying it with the motion you're making with long tail. Yes, devoted to knit. They do carry my patterns and I send them, and they are wonderful. I love Knit Companion. Oh my goodness. Judy, you are advanced. Okay. Adjust your pattern accordingly. That is amazing, Judy. And I do have a video where I talk about that, but a lot of people don't want to do that kind of math, but man, good for you for doing it. And that's just your comfort level. Your stitch gauge, Trish, your stitch gauge is always wonky. Stitches are wide but short. Yeah, and again, you can adjust, especially if your row gauge is off, just having an idea, but always keep in mind that the gauge is the blocked gauge. So, like if you're knitting a sweater and the sweater says knit for 8 inches, okay? That doesn't mean knit and measure your unblocked knitting and stop when it's 8 inches long. That means you were supposed to have done a blocked gauge swatch. And if you're getting 5 rows to an inch, 5 rows to an inch, you need to take those 5 rows, multiply by 8. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So you should knit 40 rows. Okay? Because that's blocked gauge. It is not unblocked gauge. Just a thought there. And you can adjust like that. Oh, I love it when y'all are solving each other's problems in Diane and Jen. Thank you so much. We got some awesome garment stuff going on in the chat. I did click the button that said that the chat is supposed to be recorded and available on replay, but I don't know if YouTube has that sorted. Okay. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Oh, bye, Stacy. Thank you for being here. Yes, Esmeralda, you need to knit a gauge swatch, block your gauge swatch, and do your math based on your gauge swatch. Okay, so Esmeralda, always is a thing I hesitate to say, but if you're going to block the finished garment. If you're reading the pattern and the pattern says at the end, block to measurements or block to size, then the gauge you have been provided is the blocked gauge, and you should block your gauge swatch before you measure it. Now, are there going to be times where a project is not intended to be blocked? Yes. And at that point, you would not block your gauge swatch because you're not going to block the project. But if you're going to block the project, you need to block your gauge swatch, and you need to block it however you're intending to block your project. So if the blocking of your project is throw it in the washer and then throw it in the dryer, then that is how you need to block your gauge swatch. Throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, poofy voila. Okay. So I said I would come back to it. Yes, my classes in South Carolina went lovely. I met a bunch of amazing knitters and had a lot of fun. It was really awesome to be teaching in person again, and it just really reinforced how different teaching in Zoom versus teaching in person is. That said, there are a lot of wonderful things to be said about teaching via Zoom. One of the great things about teaching via Zoom is when I'm teaching, I can have, okay, so I'm going to do this. I have set this up. So this is what I'm going to be using in my class. I have this. There's two of me, but it's going to be flipped. So this is my, up here in the corner, that's my webcam. And this is my phone. And when I teach a class, I don't know if it'll come into view. Here we go. Oh, you can see it in my little one. I have this handy dandy little mounting tool, which I will put my phone here. I can go there. Here we go. Oh, see, the color is horrible. See, this is why I have switched to my my phone for video, because the video is so much better. So this is my mount. I will mount my phone on here and point it at my desk, and we will go back to the better picture. Point my phone at my desk, and then I can teach you how to do the stitches, and you can physically see me doing it, which requires a lot more technology to do in person. So that is one of the great things about Zoom. Now, in person, I can walk over and lay my hands on you and show you how to do it. So it's just, there's a trade-off. Yes, that is definitely something. Using those screens, there are Elmo projectors. There are different kinds of projectors you can use, but those projectors are actually quite expensive. To get the high quality ones. So I plan all my classes, my in-person classes, to not use technology, because you're never assured that that technology is going to be available to you. I can't, if I'm teaching at a yarn store, I can't be like, you have to make sure you have a projector, because they can be quite an expense. Now, the prices on these things have been going down, and I'm sure that Lily Chin traveled enough and taught enough to justify that expense in her business plan. But again, those types of things, they require a laptop to run, which I don't have a laptop. It's just, it's a cost benefit analysis thing you have to do. And getting a projector is not on my list yet. I said. Time for a little water break. Okay. Y'all have slowed down, or is chat just being silly? So I got something in the mail this week that I am pretty excited about. Oh. Judy, I don't do short rows. Wow, you guys are finding all the stuff I don't do. I have not done shadow wrap. I know how to do basic wrap and turn, and I have an awesome book on short rows. Where's the short row book? Here it is. I can move that so I don't break it. I have I have a video where I went through this, a book look on this. So I have this book. I have Knitting Short Rows Techniques, and it's really cool because I have the intention of learning more about short rows. There's just so much to learn. So chapter 1 is the wrap and turn, and then there's the yarn over method, the German method, the Japanese method, the twin stitch method. I don't know if any of these are the shadow wrap. Maybe the twin stitch is it. I don't know, but this is a really cool book. I've really only ever done wrap and turn for a short row action. I have no opinion on it. Do you enjoy it, Judy? I'm wondering. It sounds like maybe it's something you've experimented with. Do you find that it is? Uh, do you find that it is better than other techniques you've run into? Do you like it? I'd love to know. You see, yeah. So Trish, the knitting guild I belong to in Atlanta did own a projector. So some groups do have that. Yes, Cindy, I do. I try hard to have. I got feedback once that I had bad contrast between my yarn and needles. And so I really do try to do that. Actually, I just recently put up a video that's just me knitting. And I did say in there, this is gray yarn on gray needles because I'm knitting this project and that's the color it's going to be. This is not something I would do for a demo. That's why I put in the video, this is not an instructional video. It's just me knitting. Is there a best practice shape for a shawl made from rustic worsted weight yarn? Jen, I don't think there's a best practice. You could make pretty much any shawl shape out of any yarn you want. Rustic worsted weight. So what I would that's interesting. I would design, Jen. Okay, Jen has said, is there a best practice shape for a shawl made from a rustic worsted weight yarn? I have a large Briggs and Little stash and am thinking of doing my first shawl design. Do what it speaks to you. Make the shawl shape that you want to see. Now, right now, the two shapes that seem to be the most popular are the side-to-side asymmetrical triangle, or the boomerang shawl, and rectangles seem to be coming up in popularity. Rectangles take a lot of yarn, but worsted is going to get you some size fairly quickly. So that might, but rectangle shawls have to be fairly large to wrap around your body. So in worsted weight, that's going to be fairly significant. There's so many different kinds of shawls, and you need to make what speaks to you and what inspires you. So there isn't really a best practice on that. Different people like different shaped shawls. As soon as I design a crescent, people are like, I want a triangle. And as soon as I do an asymmetrical triangle, somebody's like, I don't like asymmetrical triangles. Do you have a crescent? So whatever you choose, there are going to be people who don't like it, and there are going to be people who love it. And the goal as a designer is to connect with the people who love the same things you do. Trying to appeal, compromising your own personal vision to try to appeal to a wider audience. You can do that, but I don't know how fulfilling that's going to be, because you're never going to make everybody happy. It's just not possible. So you think shadow wrap and twin stitch are the same thing? Well, Judy, keep us updated. If you're in the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group, post pictures of it. Let us know. So if the yarn doesn't have a lot of drape, you might want to try. So Jen has said not a lot of drape with this yarn I have found. So if you're going to be doing a worsted weight shawl, if I was going to design a worsted weight shawl, I would probably start with a 9 or a 10 for needle size. A lot of the drape in shawls comes from working at a larger. Okay, I'm just sitting here holding this book. I'm going to put it back. A lot of the drape in a shawl comes from working at a more open gauge than you would typically knit a sweater at. So if you're looking at a ball band and it's worsted weight, it's going to recommend like a 7 or an 8. When I start swatching for shawls, I go up at least whatever that top number is, I go 1 above it or even 2 above it. Confundo, which has slip stitches in it, which are going to make the fabric a little more firm, is DK weight knit on a 9. My fingering weight shawls tend to be knit on 5s and 6s. If you look at the ball band for fingering weight yarn, it's frequently going to recommend size 1 and 2 needles because that gauge is for socks. So if you're finding that there's not a lot of drape, you might want to try going up larger needle sizes until you find a drape you like in that worsted weight. A pocket shawl rectangle with pockets. Okay, well, Cindy votes for a rectangle with pockets. There you go, Jen. That would be cool. Worsted weight pocket shawl would be fun. You know what? Yeah, some people think boomerangs are weird. So the reason why boomerangs are popular, in my theory, this is not like I haven't done studies or anything. The boomerang shape, because it starts at a point and it ends, and then that third side is the bind off. You can get a fairly decent length that you can wrap around and wear kind of like scarves with a relatively small amount of yardage, but they tend to be very open-ended so that you can just keep on knitting, and it can be very flexible with the amount of yarn that is needed. So I think that's one of the reasons why the boomerangs are popular right now. Okay, we definitely have another vote for a rectangle with pockets for a shawl. So I'm telling you, rectangles are big. Oh, you like that? Yeah, so drape. This is one of my things. I know I've said it before. When people ask me, what size needle should I use for this yarn? You can knit any yarn on any needle. Is it going to be a good choice? Maybe not, but there are frequently applications. So as I said, most of my fingering weight shawls are knit on 5s or 6s. But if you want to knit a sock, you're going to look at like anywhere from a 1 to a 0. Worsted weight for a sweater gauge, you're typically looking at a 7 or an 8. But if you're making a stuffed animal out of worsted weight yarn, you might actually go down to a 5 or a 4 because you want something dense enough that the stuffing doesn't come out. If you want a more dense fabric, use a smaller needle. If you want a looser drapier fabric, use a larger needle because it gives those stitches room to move. Subby, I am a big fan of heart-shaped shawls. I just released one recently, and because I do enjoy the construction of a top-down triangle. There's something really satisfying in it, but that straight top edge for a triangle, you have to get to a fairly substantial size before you can actually really wear it easily. And that extra oomph in the heart shape, I do like that. I'm a fan. And now half circles, I like crescents, but Subby, I'm not dissing you. You can totally 100% like half circles. I prefer crescents to half circles for the same reason that I prefer hearts to triangles. The half circle has that straight neckline, which again, it has to get to a substantial size before it really wraps around, whereas a crescent gets that wrap right off the bat. So just my personal preferences. I have designed half circle shawls. I enjoyed knitting them. They are super fun. I have a couple of them, but in general for wearing, I prefer crescents. Crochet is fantastic. I learned how to crochet when I was 8 and never really got any further than ripple Afghan. So it's just modern crochet kind of baffles me. There's so many amazing and beautiful things that crocheters do, and there's so many. I mean, knitting is like knit and purl, right? You knit, you purl, everything's sort of a variant on that, right? Crochet, you've got so many different stitches and so many different places you can put the hook. You can put it into the top of the thing, or you can put it into the chain, or you can put it into the chain space, or you can do like front post or back post or behind the post or upside down. There's so many different ways that you can do really interesting things in crochet, and it just my brain has not quite wrapped around that. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming in. Pi square is half circle with the back legs down the front. A half circle and back legs. Oh, that's really cool, Trish. I have 2 ponchos in my Big Yarn Beautiful Lace book, but I don't think I've done a single pattern poncho. That could be fun. I do like ponchos. I do not have a mosaic poncho though. So what kind of poncho do you prefer? Do you like big ponchos, or do you like, okay, so let me see if I can pull up. I hesitate to do this. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of something. So there are different kinds of ponchos. Like they're the ones that you knit a big giant rectangle and you fold it in half, and then you seam and leave a neck hole. And then you have the type of poncho where you knit a big giant rectangle, but you take the short end and bring it around and attach it to the long end. And so you get, there's so many ways to make a poncho, and they are super, super cool. You made 2 of them. Good job, Harley. You like them big and warm. Snuggly poncho, big ponchos in the round. Poncho in the round. How do you do? See, I kind of feel like a poncho in the round is a cape, because like I did do isochronal, no, yeah, isochronal arc. Let me pull up. And it's a capelet. So let's go to here. There we go. So this is isochronal arc, and I consider it a capelet because I'm trying to decide what defines a poncho. What are like the rules about ponchos? What makes a poncho? What makes a cape? And then you have ruanas. Semantics. Yes, the way yes, you can totally, essentially, what you're talking about, Trish, I think is you knit a square. You knit, it's a center out square, but instead of starting with a little pinhole, you start with a neck hole and you get a center out. Welcome, Tracy. 2 points. Giant circle with a hole in the center is poncho in the round, but you want the points. So is it points that defined a poncho? Because this I consider a capelet. The isochronal arc I consider a capelet. It is definitely, there aren't any points to it. But so poncho is maybe more pointy. There are thoughts there. Poncho knows. Poncho, no sleeves. Well, but a capelet doesn't really have any sleeves either. And then you have a ruana. Ruanas are really cool because ruanas have a rectangle and then two rectangles in the front, but they're open on the sides. Whereas a poncho has sort of the point in the front and the point in the back, but the arms are the side. There's so many different options. It is absolutely wild. But so, Trish, do you find that ponchos are good in your chair? Because one of the requests, and I'm thinking of it. I don't. I, I haven't figured out for next. So next week is the first week of March, which means I need to do a fave 5, and I haven't come up with my theme yet. But I got a lot of suggestions on the last one, and one of them was things to knit for people who are in a wheelchair or using a mobility device. And being someone who doesn't use one of those pieces of equipment, I don't know that I'm like a good person to make that video, but I do want to educate myself more. So do you find that ponchos are actually a good thing if you are in a chair like that? I'd be good to know. Knit a neck and raglan increases on the shoulders and increase the center. Okay. A capelet is shorter than a poncho. What are straight needles? Those are the old school needles, Harley. Shorter in the back, longer in the front. Does that make it easier to wear in your chair? Fave 5 ponchos and capelets. Okay, I got to write that down. Y'all have decided for me. I will write it down. See, this is good. This is good. And actually, believe it or not, I have a list. I made a list. See, when I tell you people I make lists, I do actually make lists. So ponchos and capelets are going on here. So there we go. I got ponchos and capelets on the list, and I will do my best for have that for this coming week. Okay, so definitely an issue with being in a chair is sitting on the back, so short in the back. So what about cowlettes? Are cowlettes a good thing? Or maybe a poncho could be something like, like an oversized cowlette. I'm typing to find something for y'all. Okay, so we'll go back to here. So this is a cowlette. And what they are is it's like a hybrid between a shawl and a cowl, and they're specifically designed to look like a top-down triangle worn bandana style. So this is knit in the round with those front increases. Would something like this be a good thing for someone using a mobility device, a chair-based one specifically? Shorter in the back, so I don't have to sit on it. Okay, okay, I got to write these things down. Okay, I'm going to be chair. Short in back. And Judy, no longer than elbow. And no longer than waist. Okay. I have no neck either, Trish. I can't wear cowls very easily. I have a very short neck as well. That is just a club we got to join. Okay. Okay, so the difference between the cowl. Okay, I'm getting it. I'm trying to learn here. So you want something down on the shoulders, but not longer. Okay. Very cool. Okay, and you disagree. And see, this is This and again, this is one of the reasons why I don't know that I'm the right person to make this video, but I'm definitely willing to learn and try to understand better and hopefully maybe design some things that will be useful to a large range of people. Um, so there's different things. It's just, it's wild. But we definitely are looking for something that maybe covers the shoulders to keep it warm. Everyone is different, 100%. And I think that's one of the reasons we knit. Because the great thing about knitting is that we can customize and get something that really suits our purposes. So that is exciting. Everyone is different and everything is awesome. Oh, Kathleen. Hello, Kathleen. Welcome. So I started talking about something and then we got into this incredibly fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for being here, Linda. So I got in the mail something very exciting that I wanted to show you all. So when you design something for a third party, when they call third party publishing, we're going to get into a little design stuff. Third party publishing is when someone else comes up with like the idea or sends out a call and then you submit a call and then you create something, you send it to them, they tech edit it, they photograph it, and then they publish it. So if I had something in a magazine, that's third party publishing. If I worked with a yarn company, like I've worked with Manos del Uruguay, and I send them the stuff and then they publish it under their title. And so that's third party publishing. And when I get published in someone else's book, that's a third party because there are collaborative books where someone manages it and is the editor, but also farms out projects or accepts proposals for projects from other designers. And oh, I'm still so oh, and I was like, it just got all fuzzy all of a sudden. It's because my glasses got funny. So but what happens is you knit it and you send it to them and then they have it because they have to photograph it. And I had something come home and I'm so excited. My hat came home. Look at my hat. I'm so excited. It's got a pom-pom. And this is something that I wasn't ever able to show up because it was a big secret because I had to send it in a year before the book came out. So I wasn't able to do a pattern tour of it or anything like that. And I'm so excited to have this. Woohoo! You're making this hat, Heather. Thank you so much. So this is my hat. Look at my perfect pom-pom. It's such a perfect. I'm so happy with this pom-pom. Boop, 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 boop. So this was in Star Wars Knitting the Galaxy. This is the tiny TIE Fighter hat. And this is my Star Wars hat. And my Star Wars fingerless mitts. It was a set. So these are the mitts, and you've got the TIE fighters around the bottom, and then the solid and the TIE fighters around the top. And then look at this gusset. I love this gusset. It's so neat and tidy. You ordered the book. Oh, what? That is quite the coincidence. Yes. I'm so excited. So they sent me these colors. This is Kim Dye's yarn is the name of this yarn. And it is super soft and super squishy. And I think it has cashmere in it. But the really cool thing about this is that it is mosaic. This is not stranded knitting. My goal is I wanted to create something that from a distance, if like you didn't really know, it just sort of looks like Fair Isle, right? I wanted it to just look like a Fair Isle pattern. But when you get up close, it's TIE fighters. It's so cute. And I didn't want to do stranded knitting because I don't like stranded knitting. I mean, I love the way it looks. I do not like executing it. So if you look on the inside, No floats. No floats. It's just slipped stitches. So I it is so much fun. So this pattern is only available in the Star Wars Knitting the Galaxy book. And this is the sort of thing, again, because it was third party, this is not something that will ever revert to me. This is not something that I can ever publish as a single pattern. Actually, Disney owns this pattern. So certain things you sign away certain rights. And frankly, I was happy to just to be a tiny, tiny part of the Star Wars mystique. When I proposed these, I was just excited that my proposals went to Lucasfilm and somebody at Lucasfilm even considered them. So but I am happy they are back. So the book, Judy, is Star Wars Knitting the Galaxy. This shelf has seen a lot of action tonight. And yes, I have on pajamas. You saw my pajama bottoms. This is the book. It's called Star Wars Knitting the Galaxy. And it's got all kinds. I think I did a book look for it. I will definitely try to get that in there. But there's a lot of really beautiful, beautiful color work in this book. A lot of stranded, but here is the TIE Fighter. You can see. So this is the exact, see, these are the ones that she is wearing. Isn't that fun? It's in the fancy book. So there's the hat. And you can see my palm, my perfect palm. So it's Star Wars Knitting the Galaxy, and the editor is Tanis Gray. She also just recently had a Disney one come out. She did the Harry Potter one. She does these amazing books, and I was honored to be asked to even submit. But there's a lot of really cool stuff in this. You should check out. I do have, as I said, a video where I go through the whole book. But I'm just excited that these are here. Okay. Kathleen, can't make a pom-pom. Okay. And earlier, Harley asked me how I made a perfect pom-pom. Okay. What is doing here? So the secret to a perfect pom-pom is you use about double the yarn you think you need to use. I use a pom-pom maker, the ones like the clover ones, the half moon ones that come apart, and you put a ludicrous amount of yarn on it. You know how it's half moon shaped? You have to fill it till it's straight across the bottom. You put a stupid amount of yarn on it, and you fill both sides, and then you do the thing where you tie it, and then when it comes out, it's going to look like a tribble. It's going to be like, it's going to have all these things, and you have to sit there and give it a haircut. So when this came out, it was probably that big. I mean, it was probably a good 1/4 inch bigger all around. And you have to sit there with a really good pair of scissors and just cut it and cut it and cut it and cut it and cut it until you get this really good spherical shape. And then steam it. You have to block your pom-pom. When you steam the pom-pom, I can't figure out if this is getting foggy or if it's my glasses. So I actually used a handheld steamer on the palm, and that allowed it to bloom and fill in and be this gorgeous velvety texture. So this is a ridiculous amount of yarn and very well trimmed, and then heat steamed so it puffed up really, really good. Oh, thank you, Diane. So that is how I make the perfect pom-pom, is trim, overstuff, trim, steam. And you get, it's so cute. It needs a googly eyes or something. So, okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining me this week. at this live. It has been a lot of fun. I feel like I have learned a lot from y'all, and hopefully I was able to answer some of your questions. Kelly, how do you stop it from falling apart? So a lot of that is having it be super, super stuffed. If there's not enough yarn in there to really pack it in, well, you use the tool and you wrap the yarn around and you got to tie it and you got to tie it tight, but there's got to be enough yarn in there to really hold it. If it's too loose, it will fall apart. You got to tie it really tight. You got to tie it really tight, but there's got to be enough in there to tighten down on. Uh, and again, you're winding a palm and you're winding and you're like, wow, I'm still winding, and you're winding and you're winding, and then you're winding some more and you're winding and you're winding. And it's just a ridiculous amount of yarn in a pom-pom. You have the Kathleen, you have the 2 half circle. There's no way I'm going to find that to show it to y'all. When it even occurred to me, I probably should have thought of that. Okay, so we are just over an hour. Thank you all so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you have too. You have given me an idea for what you can look forward to next week, next Thursday in Fave 5, Ponchos and I wrote it down, Ponchos and Capes. And the last Thursday of March will again be a live here on YouTube. Invite your friends, the more the merrier. And I really appreciate you spending this time with me on a Thursday evening. I would be awesome. Definitely watch for the class announcement. And I hope to see some of y'all in the class. It's going to be fun. It's going to be challenging. This is not this is not an entry level class. The Japanese stitches take some brain power. Thank y'all so much. I enjoy chatting with y'all too. And I will see you. Oh, hey, Gay. I didn't see you. Welcome. A pom-pom video. There's a lot of good pom-pom videos out there, but I will see that. Thank you, Tracy, for joining us. And we will definitely have fun next month. And let me know if you have questions. Be thinking of questions for next month, okay? And try them. Don't make them about sweaters. I'm actually seriously considering, after this month's Fave 5, I'm seriously considering making a sweater. So I'm not a sweater, a tee, a garment. So I might not be able to say I haven't made a garment anymore. Okay. Thank you all so much. You have a lovely evening and have fun knitting this weekend. I'll see y'all soon. Okay. Bye-bye. End.